Sup everybody, Lonely Child here, Boogie Wonderland, Austin, Texas. Thank you so much for being with us. Today we're going to talk about trust in the studio. Trust in yourself and trust in your collaborators. Daddy NAT is a prolific writer, an incredible artist, and also an incredible person who understands that the most important thing you can do is trust the people around you and empower them with your trust to help make your music better, to help make everything work the best it can. This song is called 1Night. I love this song. The song's very special to me. He brought me this song after we had already done 10 or 15 songs for a mixtape called Leisure Lane Mixtape. And when I first met Nat, his entire premise was, I really trust you and I want to see what we can do together over a long period of time. So we did a lot of music together. But after about 10 or 12 songs, he brought me this demo. It was called Summertime. If you haven't listened to the song yet, go down into the comments. You can stream the song, get familiar with it. If you already have, let's listen.
Like summer in the low light, thinking that this one night only in a cane lot, that I'd rather stay at home and hope that you're reading between the lines. That's just my mood.
Now that is the song, but it's also not at all. The synth never changed. The bass tone was tweaked slightly with some effects. I never changed the initial sound. The vocals obviously were re-recorded. It was a demo. But I want to look at the bass from the demo. I want you to listen again to the bass line of the demo. So right off the bat, my first reaction was that the mood of this song was perfect. There's a timelessness to the energy of this song. And the only thing not quite conveying that is that the melody and the rhythm aren't quite locked into that energy. So the very first thing I wanted to do was pretty quickly address that bass line and make sure that the melody and rhythm were just a hook in and of themselves, because that's going to be the foundation for this song. This is the third chord. I want you to hear now in the final version that same spot. Demo, final. Additionally, I felt like there needed to be some slightly different rhythms. The actual rhythm and melody it was asking for was a lot more of a kind of like Stand By Me by Benny King. I mean, here's the final, that section here. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. That's the vibe, the snaps, all that. So this bass line, to me, that's the hook. Now, coming from the bass line into verse 1, on the demo, obviously it's a single vocal.
Feels like summer in the low light, thinking that this one night only in a cane lot, that
Final is 3 vocals. You can see right here. There's a center vocal and there's one pan left and one pan right.
feels like summer in the low light, thinking that there's one night only in
There's
a
also this happening. I'm not sure you can really hear that. And then there's this cool effect on this one line, which I think is a very important moment in the song in keeping the verses interesting, because that's the part of the melody where he deviates from the rest of the vocal melody. So let's listen to that moment again.
one night only in a can lie, that I'd rather stay at home and hope that you're reading.
And that happens on both verses in the same spot with different lyrics, but the same spot. That's our structure. And halfway through, we bring in the claps. Definitely knew we wanted claps. I remember it taking a minute to find them, but ultimately I can say that it was on Splice and it was a Chromeo clap. Shout out Chromeo. Probably tweaked it a little bit, but for the most part, it's intact. So here's the transition from the snaps to the claps.
At home and hope that you're reading between the lines. That's just my mood, right? Sunset turns to moonlight.
When we get to the first chorus, there are a couple pretty dramatic changes. Let's listen to the chorus first, and then we'll talk about those. Now, songwriting-wise, that was always the chorus. Here's the demo.
Hope then we'll make it, we'll be alright. If we got love, then I'm loyal forever, right? When we got trust, that will keep us together.
Let's listen to the drums now, because the drums are a big deviation from the verse and from the demo. Pay attention to the straight hi-hats. Especially at this time, I think it was 2018 we worked on this song, the impulse was always to do like a trap hi-hat thing, like that was the pop impulse. I just remember feeling this sort of timelessness to this song and thinking that these drums should just feel like a real drummer. So I played the hi-hat on the MIDI controller here with a little bit of swing. Listen again. They're a little behind. But in terms of this first chorus, I just wanted to keep it chill and laid back. This is the drum break on the first chorus versus the demo.
We got love, then I'm loyal forever, right? When we got trust, that'll keep us together like summertime.
I hope you hear the saxophones. That's probably the biggest, most dramatic element that gets introduced on this chorus. So I want to play you the first saxophone line, and then we'll talk about it. That's just the cheesiest thing probably possible to play. We were laughing at how corny that was, how cheesy that was. But I want to play it to you again with the bass, which the bass is not cheesy. The bass is timeless in my opinion. And all of a sudden, you get this sort of counter rhythm, you get this counter melody, and the timelessness of the bass melody with the timelessness of the saxophone melody and tone, to me, just works. I want to pull in the organ. Some stabs. Oh, and there are crickets. Like I said, want it to sound like it's outside. You know what we have outside in Texas? Whole lot of crickets. That one saxophone is ultimately not enough. So we just started building on it. I said, Nat, let me just go. Let me just layer a bunch of parts. If we like it, great. If we don't, we don't. So I'm going to start layering in these other saxophone parts, and I want you to hear how much it fills out the melody and the rhythm of this section and how much support it gives the vocal. Whole notes on this one. So we've got bam, 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 this sort of quarter note, eighth note thing against these whole notes. That's working with the synths. Sax 4. Another really exciting thing that's happening on these choruses is the interplay between the saxophones and the vocal harmonies, which are doing their own sort of rhythmic accents against the lead vocal. And that's another reason why it's so great that the drums just stay straight. Because if the drums were also doing lots of rolls, lots of complex, bass drum syncopation, we wouldn't have had space to build this bounce out of the vocals and out of the horns. What's exciting to me about this song is leaving space for the more organic elements. So here are the vocal harmonies with the lead vocal.
Hope then we'll make it, we'll be alright. If we got love, then I'm loyal forever, right? Together, right? Summertime healing, right?
I didn't even sing the right word. This one take, we ended up leaving him in. There's some wrong notes in there. It's just about the vibe. leaving that live energy in a song that's so synthetic up until this point helps with the magic of it. So here's the horns and the vocal harmonies. So that's chorus 1. Verse 2, arrangement-wise, is basically identical to verse 1 with the exception of the lyric becomes more of a mantra and a repeated sort of thing. It also evokes more of a 6/8 time signature to a 4/4. So if you listen...
Talk to me, baby. Laugh with me, baby. Stay with me, baby. Talk to me, baby. Hope it ain't too much to ask.
When he sings, talk to me, baby, laugh with me. It's got that, the way you make me feel, Michael Jackson's 6/8. Very subtle, but there is a rhythmic instrument doing that. Listen to the drums here. Verse 2, Kit. It only happens in the first half of that verse. Now you might be saying, well, that's weird. It only happens there. The 6/8 thing does come back around later, I promise. Now coming out of verse 2, there's a decision to make. It didn't make sense to either of us to go from verse 2 right into the chorus. And this song still hasn't quite given us as much catharsis as I think it has in it. Typically when I want to evoke anything close to that, I start removing stuff. For me, that works really well. What we ended up doing was we took the saxophone solo from the extended version, chopped it up and moved it into this section. Up until now, you've heard the music, but with vocals over it. Now we're just gonna let the music speak for itself. There's one saxophone, well, there's two saxophones, but one important saxophone that's not in that drop, and that's the very first one we recorded back here in chorus 1. Because there's too much movement, there's too much rigidity to the rhythm, and if that was happening in a drop, you would lose the openness. Imagine, it would force this to be tighter than we want it. That comes in just a second here. My favorite part of the song every time is from the saxophone solo to the end. To me, it's such a big payoff because we set it up in such a way. The other element, that bass line, that thing's been out the entire solo and the first half of this chorus where the drums aren't in. So when I was talking about the song sort of opening up, dropping the bass out, dropping the bottom out is a great way to do that. And because the bass line is probably the most important part of this song besides the lyrics, that's what hooks everyone, hooked me right off the bat. So when you finally bring that back after all these other beautiful sounds, all these other beautiful melodies, it just signals to everybody, like, here we are. There's one more element that's happening on chorus 2 that isn't happening on chorus 1, which is a ton of vocal harmonies and counter melodies. Because by this point in the song, what I wanted to hear was the sensation of everybody singing along, but not singing along, singing with. We wanted to evoke that sensation of just, this is for everybody. Sing what you feel. So I want to play these harmonies here on the outro.
Be alright. We got love forever, right?
With the horns. So one more time. Here's without those harmonies. I still like it better with them in. It's just fuller, it's warmer. The more electronic elements, the more I'm looking for something that feels real. And letting the parts where the harmony's not quite right stay in, that just makes it feel like I was describing. Everyone's just outside having a good time. And it doesn't matter if you sing the wrong note. All that matters is that you feel like singing. And that's what we wanted to evoke with the last chorus of this song. Now there is an outro, and the outro is identical to the demo, except for a couple vocal things. But here's the demo outro. This is where we brought back some of that 6/8 energy. So listen to the final version of the outro here.
Talk to me, baby. Laugh with me, baby. Stay with me, baby.
Feel that 6/8? Listen to his cadence.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me, baby.
Everything else is the same as the demo. And I did a little wind down at the end. I love this song. Cheesy horns, cheesy vocals, all this stuff. When you're a musician, everything that goes in at some point in your life, it comes out some other point in your life when something triggers it. And this song triggered a lot of the music that I really fell in love with early on in my life. It just had a timeless quality to it. When you have a great song, it's just like, it seems like every idea you throw at it just works because it inspires you, as opposed to trying to come up with an idea to make something inspiring that isn't already. I hope you had as much fun as I did talking about a song that I really love. And it wouldn't have happened without trust. The trust that Nat gave me, you know, like Nat sings, if we got trust, we're gonna make it. We're gonna be all right. Especially in the studio, especially in a creative environment, there's nothing truer than that. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And until next time, peace.
We'll make it be alright if we